Can you hear me?
It is. Hold on. I am opening what I need, which apparently I don't have. As always, I'm, uncoordinated. Hello, Tuckers.
Like, can you hear me?
Figure out how to get rid of this. That was not what I wanted. We have Vanna's nose.
It's big enough, ain't it?
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you?
Namaste, witchlings. How is everyone today? We got shit. We have the ever fantabulous Vanna joining us today. My soul sister, my partner in crime, and one of my absolute best friends in the entire fucking world. So, I'd have been, a little bit better on the ball and maybe have finished my lunch had the munchkin not called. You gotta see this. So, apparently, the munchkin was moving a truck at work today and did this to the other truck.
Your munchkin is special.
Aren't they? So apparently they're ordering a new bumper for the other truck.
Makes sense.
Mind you, the Munchkin is used to driving a Mini Cooper. So that kind of explains part of how this happened. I love my children.
Kind of went
Oh,
through a similar thing when we went from a Prius to a large ass truck.
yep. Oh, excuse me. I am attractive. So here we go. We are doing a podcast here. You are broadcasting from your phone, which is oh so much fun. I'm hyper.
Ain't it?
I don't know why I'm hyper. I've only had
Could
I've
it
had
have
2 cups
anything
of
to
coffee.
do with the fact that we haven't spoken in quite a while like this?
Probably a big part of it. We haven't
There
we
you
have
go.
not had the chance to really talk much in months, and we have not hung out in way too fucking long. And I know it's June now because it's Pride Month. Yay, Pride!
Mhm.
So we've got what 8 months until we're gonna get to hang out.
Honestly, yes.
Roundabout.
About,
Pam and I were talking about that this morning. She says hi.
well, we'll let her know I say hello.
Yep. Yeah. So I am super excited. So my soul sister, my partner in crime, my favorite Reiki master, and one of the coolest fellow members of the Rainbow Mafia that I know. Um, so welcome to Die the Yoga Witch. You're also one of my favorite people to have in the comments of the Daily Draw because you're almost always there. Thank you so very much for being there because it's so much fun to have you in the comments shit talk and everything I do because it definitely adds to it. I love it. Where's my
Well, I've got to keep up the habit of flicking you shit every now and then,
oh, yeah, it wouldn't be you if you didn't.
right?
So tell us about your journey. How did you get to where you are today? To who and where you are today?
So, do you want the nutshell version or the long version?
Okay, so how did you how did you find Reiki? How did you find crystals? And how did you stumble into your magical practices? Are you a witch or are you something else?
So I'll only really give you the bullet points because, again, do you want the long version or do you want the nutshell? So I started Reiki back in 1997. I was a teenager. Well, I was a preteen at the time. I was 13, 13, 14, somewhere around there. I
I
was
forget you're that much younger
attuned.
than me.
Wait, what?
I forget you're that much younger than me.
Silence, you're aging yourself and me, so stop it. But then again, I also gave dates too. So, meh. Um, I was attuned in 1997 by a high priestess who visited my family from Kentucky. We went over to a federal beach over here in Central California, where not only I was attuned to Reiki, but so was my sister and so was my mother. Out of the three of us, I'm the only one who continues to really practice it.
Cool.
So that's where it started. I continued on for quite a number of years, both self practice along with my mom, who had a number of issues that were beginning to pop up, along with being trained on how to give Reiki to pets and animals, which is something I don't showcase a whole hell of a lot, and I probably really should. Um,
Dude,
I
I
did
should
that
have
for
your
a few
workouts
years.
started when you get back up here.
True, technically don't need to be up there, but
That's true.
I did that for a few. I did that for a few years before I dropped the practice for a little bit for a number of reasons, and then I picked it back up several years later because I want to try to get back into it. So I got myself reattuned at level one, thinking, let's start from the beginning, let's start with the basics. But then, life happened. Um, you remember that quick little blurb that I gave you? Yeah, I
Yep.
did this, and then life happened. And then I did this, and then life happened. And then I did this, and life happened. Story of my life is that life happened.
Life happens.
Um, yep. Um, when I finally moved up to Oregon in 2010, I attempted to show this to my then mother-in-law that I can do these things to her dogs. They were getting better, but my mother-in-law being the mother-in-law, it was nothing but poo-pooing the practice, which got me to stop in 2010. Um, so
She
fast
wasn't
forward
your
the
biggest
clock
fan to
by
start with, so
no, and come to realize that it had nothing to do with me per se. It had everything to do with my mother. Was definitely interesting. So, fast forward the clock by 6 years, and I'm playing around with some crystals every now and then. I figured out that I can hear music in crystals. I can hear
okay.
music. I can sense the energy from crystals, how to charge them. When I charge them, I will hold on to them and just shoot that energy through it until I honestly, I kid you not, I hear a little bit of a heartbeat or feel it in my fingers
Yep.
when it's like, okay,
I know
you've
what
got
you're
enough
talking about.
energy, you've got a little bit of life of your own, and that's that. Decided to go ahead and take certified crystal healing courses in 2016. I believe I was up in Washington at the time.
I think so.
Took an online course, wrote my dissertation on all the times that I did it and how it worked. And I got my certification as a certified crystal healer in 2016. About the same time I got
Watermelon quartz or strawberry quartz.
excellent. Very good.
I have
Um,
a fuck ton of crystals.
I see this. Couldn't tell if they were singing or not. Um, but yeah, I got my certification for crystal healing. Healing. I got my mastery of Reiki around the same time. And then I attempted to open up a business up there in North Bend, Washington around 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. only
Yep.
lasted for about a year because at the time there wasn't as much interest.
No, there
So
wasn't.
so I just gave up the practice. I gave up the practice, I folded the business, and I just continued on with the daily grind. Now, fast forward the clock a couple more years, and I'm back down here in California, and I'm living here with Nicole. I have business associates. I start getting pushed for doing Reiki because I've been doing it for family and friends for years, with a couple not so adventures. I'm skeptical, but eventually I cave and I start showing off a little bit, which garners more and more interest, which then turns into a business, which originally was discussed as a Renaissance Fair only event,
Jared's
but then it
watching
turned
us, by the
into an
way. I just opened the comments and spotted Jared. Hi, Jared. Apparently, the comments aren't popping up where they normally do.
I got snacks, so let's go with the long version. Absolutely. As I said, do we want the long version or do we want the nutshell? But again, this is the bullet points.
Yeah,
It's a long
this is the
list,
short
but
version, and it's still the long version.
oh yeah. Um, but yeah, it was supposed to be for Renaissance fairs and over distance and all that, but I have an office in Santa Maria that I'm going to be giving up in about a year
Yep,
as I move up to Washington. So I have clients. I already have a lifelong client here. I have several repeats.
yep,
It does make me money, but I don't just offer Reiki. I also offer some crystal healing along with aura cleansing and some other shamanic services, along with guided meditations.
yep.
So that's how this really, really started. What were the other questions?
So, how did you stumble into Reiki? Um, how
I'll do
did
that
you
one.
find crystals? And
Um,
what kind of magic are you? Are you a witch? Are you a shaman? Or are you a little bit of everything?
um, that's really a hard one to really say because I'm just coming over a really, really bad case of I lost my religion. I lost
Yep,
faith in everything.
I
I
know. I
know what I can.
remember that.
I I know what I know, and I know what I can do.
Yes.
But any of the lore, any of the mysteries, though they are known, just went away because I lost faith in them. The
Yep.
gods, they've always been allies to me rather than anything to worship. So I work with them when they're needed, but
Yep.
leave them alone when they're not. Um,
Yeah. I like that. That way of looking at it.
well, I also wasn't raised with a god. I wasn't raised with the deities. I was raised as a Zen or Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. The only
And
gods
that
that
definitely
exist
makes a
there,
difference.
yeah, the only gods that existed there were the ones that I brought with me, and I was raised with no gods.
Hmm.
So,
I can
so,
understand that.
um, so, I did practice the shamanic path, which I have a little bit more faith in the psychological standpoint on what shamanism is, as opposed to the spiritual aspect of it. Now, don't get me wrong, the spiritual aspect of shamanism is very, very much you need to experience it to really understand what the hell anyone's going to say. But there is a psychological standpoint on it, so I will take that one because it's verified and it's seen as legit,
Hmm.
which is a person who has gone through X amount of trauma in their life will at some point have to go through a process of restructuring their brain or rewiring their brain. It's what's known as the shamanic initiatory illness. And when it comes to restructuring their brain, which they have to do it by themselves or be taught by a mentor, they're working with neuroplasticity in order to rewire and restructure their brain. So
Yep.
they're already, in a sense, neuroscientists in their own rights.
Yep,
and I've had
that
to
is
do
true.
this to myself on several occasions.
Yeah,
Um,
which leads into
ooh, which
something that
leads
we
into
share.
the yeah.
How does being a multiple play into everything that we do? Because as I
Well,
said, we share that we are both multiples. We have dissociative identity disorder. We have both
yeah.
been officially, ooh, I know, right, Jared? We have both officially been diagnosed with DID.
Yep.
Um,
Let me
and
let me let me let me answer that comment real quick. Ooh,
okay,
neuroscience on the podcast. I love it. Here's the thing. Back when Di originally knew me when I was living up in North Bend, Washington, I was definitely far more into the spiritual and the lore and the um, talking and discussing with the spiritual entities what's going on. But as a shaman, I've always had this whole verified science behind it. I would talk to psychiatrists and therapists. But when I started moving away from that, I started getting more into the harder things. I started reading up on psychological books. I started reading up on psychological journals because I was smoking at the time, and I was far more chronic depressive. I didn't have my diagnosis of DID yet. It was
no,
looking
that
up
is
what is
true.
the correlation between substance abuse and depression because I'm chronic depressive on top of everything else. So it was going through and looking at the science and what these psychologists and therapists have figured out first. So, in a lot of ways, it's figuring out what is the scientific approach to this. Because I know what the spiritual approach is, but that's the easy path. And I don't want the easy path. I'd rather have something that's verified that can help explain in a way that can be explained to a severe skeptic, as opposed
You didn't
to
want to just slap a
discussing.
band-aid on it.
Yes, I'd rather not slap a band aid on it because it's easy for someone to just rip it off and think it doesn't exist. I would rather
Yep,
have something hard and concrete to back it up,
yep.
which is why we're both readers. I go through and I talk about tarot as psychology because of look at the imagery. It elicits a specific imagery in you, which raises up an emotional quality. So let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about that one. It's a snapshot of your mind, not fortune telling per se.
Nope. So
But DI, so how is DID important to my Reiki?
yes.
Long before I realized that I had dissociative identity disorder, I just called them the voices in my head. And sometimes one of them would run away with me. One of them did run away with me, and I now know her as Lee. She is the Reiki master because each and every time anything Reiki has come out, she would pop out. And she was there when I got attuned twice, practiced distance before I was attuned to level two, practiced all the things that the masters would teach you long before I was even attuned to Reiki 2. She was out, so she's the one that got the mastery. Now, I can do Reiki. That's cool, but I'm skeptical about it. I'm a skeptic. When she's
She's
out,
the one that knows
she's the
it
master.
with she's the one that
Not
is just
only
there.
Yes. Not only is
Yep.
she the one who is the master, she's the one who's very attuned to it, but look at her as an energy node. She's open, she's exposed. She doesn't have a lot of defenses. So she's a raw nerve. And that is uh, Reiki coming from a direct and raw nerve.
Yep. Jared and I have an online friend who is a multiple. Um, she has integrated, but one of her alters was an amazing artist. The main person can't
Mhm.
draw a stick figure to save her life. This particular altar, like I said, was an amazing artist. She has since integrated, and her one regret in integrating is that she did not retain the artistic ability of that altar. So yeah, I know what you're
We,
saying there. You have all of your altars have their own, particular gifts, and Lee's happens to be the Reiki.
which is also
I'm not
interesting
sure
because
with some of mine what their, special gift happens to be. I haven't yet to
yeah,
really explore that one.
okay. I do know that for me, my alter, her name is Lee. I think of her as a highly, highly horny teenager, and that's her. She is the Reiki
Yep,
master, which is definitely fun. Sometimes I'm in the office and I'm trying to take photos of, either myself and my setup, and all of a sudden I blink out and I have a full photo album of nothing but revealing shots. It's
cleavage.
quite fun sometimes,
Yep.
or more,
She's mentally
but
about 14, 15.
yep, she is a little girl
Yeah.
that never really grew up for very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
She's
the
a
one of my
sweetheart,
other
though.
alters, well, thank goodness for small things. I wish she didn't take my dead name though.
I know. I
Um,
can understand that one, too.
um, one of my other alters, her name is Erin. She is very Scottish. Um,
Yep.
she is the shaman of the system. Like
Okay.
when I know she comes out, I know that you remember back in the day when it was all story, it was all allegory, it was all that, and
Yep.
it was all talking about the shades and the entities and so on and so forth.
And she and Annie
I
don't get
don't
along.
really
Or Lonnie.
I don't really remember my time up in North Bend.
That's not surprising.
One of the other altars that I highly suspect it was Aaron was out,
Yep.
and they stayed out for years.
Yep. That makes
Um,
sense.
Me, I'm the therapist. I'm the psychiatrist. I'm the one who's looking at my own DID system and wondering what's going on. Why did it come around? Okay, I'm trans, and I went through the wrong childhood. I went through the wrong puberty, which in and of itself is traumatizing. You enter in people who don't see you that way and would rather you be what you're not supposed to be all the time, and it gets a little bit more traumatic. So
Yep.
that's where I came from, and it's identifying these alternate personalities, not necessarily as alternate personalities. We're all the same person, but the alternates are defensive mechanisms. So if I
Mm-hmm.
can understand that, let me identify why these alternate defense mechanisms came around, so I can at least understand them, so I can better work with them. Not
Yes.
integration. We have so much PTSD when it comes to integration of personalities, forcibly, that we don't
Yep.
want it at all.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Um,
don't want to integrate. I would lose some of my best friends.
I can't handle the silence. Period. End
Oh,
statement.
God, no.
Um, Tried. Don't get me wrong. When we were forced to integrate a few times, it was so quiet we couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Or at least I couldn't handle it. Um, but yeah, that's my stance on the whole DID thing. Is traumatic things happened. Well, a part of me broke off. That's a defensive mechanism. So, what is the defensive mechanism? How does it manifest? What's its perspective on things?
How do I work with it? How do I make it better?
Exactly.
How do I make it work
Exactly.
better for me in the situation I am in now? Yep. I like
Well,
that.
the current one for me right now is one of my angry alters, because I have like five alternate personalities that are just simply angry.
I'm sorry.
It's a case
I
of
only have one.
I'm sorry,
I only have
I didn't
one,
hear
and
you.
that's Rage. And she's a homicidal bitch.
I have five, and it ranges from from everything from cold, calculative, and robotic, um, to let me let me manipulate you to the point where I'm going to convince you to take matters into your own hands, to no words, just fight.
Yep.
It's
I have a mute one
interesting.
too, but she doesn't fight. She does other things.
Yeah, she does the other F word. Um, she likes to go out there and fuck, if memory serves. Um, so if the one that I'm working with or I'm trying to understand is the one who would rather isolate me and sabotage any chances of forward momentum in things that have caused me pain.
I can
So
understand that.
understanding where she's come from, why she's doing this, and
Yep.
what her perspective it is in the entire thing.
Yep. I can see some of that. We'll talk later.
Hmm.
But it really does sound like you're creating a truly holistic life around a lot of this, which is good.
I'm doing my
Um,
best. I have my good days and bad days. 2 days ago was definitely a bad day, but I'm doing better today.
we're
And
human.
no, I'm not going to let you forget that. At least not yet.
So, what is it like for you, as you, being a badass queer witch, where you are in life? I know what it's like for me. I know what it's like for me being a queer witch. But you are a completely different letter in the LGBTQ spectrum than I am.
Hmm.
So, and
Okay.
you're also down in Northern California, which is
Well,
not
that's
quite as accepting and as welcoming as Seattle.
it's a little bit of a misnomer because everywhere says that about themselves. uh, San Francisco says that about themselves. We are very accepting down over here, not necessarily like, say, Portland or Vancouver or Seattle or any of these other places, because I think Washington has like one anti-LGBT thing on the books, and so
They
on
have a
and so
few.
forth, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, it
Okay,
actually
well,
it depends on which half of Washington you're in. If you're in
if
Western
we're in the,
Washington, you're golden. But if you hit Eastern Washington, you're in Trump country.
and that's pretty much the
You
same
cross
for anywhere.
Snoqualmie Pass, and you're in Trump country. It's a whole lot more conservative over there.
California is pretty much the same. It's just we have a supermajority of liberals and Democrats, and the people who are more willing to be progressive than the people who are okay with tradition and the rigors of what was. Um, a good a good majority of them are in the northeast of California, but everywhere closer to say the Nevada border or the Arizona border is pretty conservative. But that's also true
Yeah.
for, say, Oregon, or as you suggested, Washington. You
Yep.
get away from the ocean, and the tolerance for progressive ideology just simply vanishes because it's all
Yes.
steeped in deep tradition. But you're also going out into rural country, and tradition is all they got.
Yep. The more rural you get, it doesn't matter what state you're in, the more rural you get, the more conservative you get. I have discovered that.
Yep.
Which is
Um,
why, as I said, Western Washington is more progressive and liberal, and Eastern Washington is more conservative and Trump country. And there is a
um,
difference. There is a distinct difference between conservatives and Magamites. I have also discovered that lately.
it's not that big of a difference, or rather, it's not that big of a leap to go from
It's
one
not
to
that
the
big a
other.
leap, but there is a distinct difference.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
That's why I
I'm
said
itching
I
over
would.
the scarf, and you know what?
That's
Forget
fine.
it. I'm sorry, people.
You're
You're gonna
you're.
have to deal with me. That's steri strips. The scarf is itchy.
Oh my God! You took off
Uh,
your scarf. Now we're going. Now we're going to see your vampire marks. How dare you?
Yep.
Um,
That's
but
okay. People keep asking if I had thyroid surgery.
I'm looking at my thyroid because weight issues are becoming a definite thing for me, and I've already ruled out hormonal imbalances. And the next one is just simply looking at my thyroid before I start looking at simple lifestyle.
Make sure if they test your thyroid, that they test TSH, T3, and T4. Just saying.
Well, well, I do know that I'm not diabetic.
That's a good thing, but that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with TSH, T3, and T4.
I don't know those numbers. I don't know what they are.
TSH is your thyroid stimulating hormone.
Mhm,
T3 and T4 are the thyroid hormones.
mhm,
Um, a lot of times, if when the doctor tests your hormone, they will only test TSH, and your
mhm,
TSH levels can be normal, but your T3 or T4 can be off. And if one of those is off, but your TSH is normal, your body will still be out of whack. Ask me how I know. Someone
Oh, at that
became
point, I kind of do.
someone
Um,
became almost homicidal because his T4 was out of whack because
um,
he had the wrong generic freaking liothyronine. Liothyronine.
yep.
And once we got it from the freaking right freaking manufacturer, so he wasn't processing it, you know, funky, and it leveled
Mhm,
back out again, he was okay again. Yes, buddy, I will let
okay.
you out so you can go find out why your brother is barking. Sergeant!
So they're dogs. They bark.
Yes, but I have no idea what he's barking at. He's asleep. He's asleep, and he's at work.
A lot of people asleep.
Yep, I'm the only one
I
awake in the house, and
definitely,
Mike's at work.
I definitely envy you guys because you're in Washington and it's a hell of a lot cooler up there. It's 90 degrees where I'm sitting.
I am so sorry, my love. It's
Oh
71 in
my.
North Bend right now.
I would kill you for that type of temperature.
Oh, I know you
Um,
would. Oh, I stand corrected. It just went down to 70.
you are still a fucking bitch.
Yes,
So we
I
definitely
am.
got off. We definitely got off topic.
That's nothing new or different for us.
I know. However, it is a podcast, so I thought I'd remind you.
So,
So
where
where
are we
were
going?
we?
Let me look. And of course, the tablet just shut itself off or turned the screen off.
Because of course.
So, we were talking about what it's like being a badass queer witch. Oh, yeah. Wait, there's a topic? Hello, Tookers.
Earlier, I
Ah,
had asked her and her team, wait, there's a script? I have to follow a freaking script? Why? I'd rather
yeah,
be,
no.
off the cuff and, flying by the seat of my pants type thing.
And
What are these
knowing
topics that
us,
y'all
we
speak of?
would anyway. Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
how do the different aspects of your identity, being a Rainbow Mafia member, a Reiki master, a crystal person, a multiple, how do all of these come together in your work? And for you, you wear multiple hats. You do the wire
Yep,
wrapping. You're a Reiki
yep,
master. You're a tarot reader.
yep,
If I remember right, you
yep,
do pendulums too. So, how
yep.
do all of these different aspects of Vanna affect your work?
When it comes to the Reiki and the crystal healing and the tarot and the pendulum and the aura cleansing and all those kinds of things, they all kind of mix together because
He's right.
not
It's only made
necessarily
so you can go off them.
absolutely rules are made to be broken. However, we
Yes.
have to understand the rules first so we can bend them and not get caught.
point.
They all blend in together. Not
Hmm.
necessarily because, what is it? I just got bored one day and I needed a challenge. No, I was actually thinking about the clients. What I was thinking about was clients like diversity. They like a
Hmm.
choice. So if we were to look at the way that I have my office set up, I don't just have a massage table to do Reiki on. Yeah, I can do it
Right.
on there and I have it decorated nicely. But I also have a massage chair in the office too, just in case they're uncomfortable being on a table. Or if they want to sit on the floor, I'm thinking about getting a zafu so a person could just sit cross-legged on the floor and we could do things down there.
I have
Again,
I have I
it's
have my
all
I have my cushion. That thing is so nice. And I have my
zafus are
my
absolutely amazing.
oh yeah. And I have my bolster. Oh, the combination of the two is so nice and comfy.
But the idea was always to offer a choice.
Yep.
Yes, I can do Reiki, but here's a good choice. A lot of people will associate Reiki with hands-on practice. I need to lay on hands in order to directly give you Reiki and energy and all that kind of stuff. But we're taught how to do distance Reiki technically at Reiki 2. So you don't have to see the person. You don't have to be in the same room. You don't have to be in the same town. The same thing can be
Yep.
done face to face. You don't have to touch them. You just have to send the energy towards them, and it doesn't
To them.
diminish
Yep.
the benefits. So, me personally, because in certain areas I have by touching a person, that means it's a massage therapist. I'd have to get a massage therapist license if I were to do
Yep.
hands on. I prefer to
Yep.
go hands off for that reason, but I always leave it as an option. Again, leave it as a choice. People want to have their tarot read. Okay, well, I tell them that I do this for psychological reasons, not for fortune telling. They want fortune telling, I'm the wrong person. But I'll tell them where to go. Again, give them the choice.
Yep.
People like choices. And that's how I
They
decided to
do.
structure this entire thing. Give them the choice. Let them tell me how they want their session to go out. It's all things that I know how to do, so that's what their session is going to be all about.
I like that.
Um, Again, when it comes to the wire wrapping versus the Reiki, diversity. There might be times that I'm in the office or I'm out here doing whatever the heck. I'm currently on location at Kronenberg Renaissance Fair, um, where I have no clients and there's no way for me to practice like this fair. I have the ability to wire wrap, and it makes pretty damn good money it once the audiences are there.
Yep.
So I'm not doing Reiki, but I still have an option that can generate some form of revenue that'll help me do the things that I want to when I finally do get back to doing the Reiki and seeing my clients. And the same vice versa. So it's diversity. One works where the other one doesn't, or vice versa, or if they're both working at the exact same time, it's balancing the two so
And it
that I
keeps
can
my
get
hands
something
busy.
done exactly.
And you like to fidget.
Oh
I
my
know
god.
you.
So I have two fidget toys. One is the bicycle gear chain thingy, and the other one is magnetic slider cards. 3 cards to that one, and it satisfies not just the tactileness, but it satisfies the auditory stimulus too.
Yes, I
So
have the
yes, I
auditory
like it.
ones, but the auditory ones that I like drive him nuts, so I'm screwed there.
Well, this is Warren we're talking about here.
It sucks living with somebody with misophonia. Okay, so
You want? Okay.
I just knocked the tablet
Ow.
over. Sorry. At least I didn't break the
It's a good.
tablet or the stand.
At least I'm already. It's a good thing I'm already going deaf.
That's true too. So Um, what are some of the obstacles you have encountered by simply being yourself?
Um, I don't switch gears easily. Often, sometimes there are good days and there are bad days, but when it comes to switching gears, like I'm doing wire wrapping, and all of a sudden I get a client. I have to clean everything off, and I begin to fuss and fume because I'm suddenly on the clock.
Yep.
So, and then once everything's clean, I have to recenter so that I don't go out presenting myself as this. And again, if I'm in a rush, details tend to be forgotten. Like this
Yep.
one time, I had to switch gears really, really quickly, and I had to clean up all the wire wrap stuff, but I forgot to silence my phone. She went in for the full 30 minutes cycle, and the first 10 minutes is a guided meditation. We barely got through the guided meditation part by the time I think one of the various group chats that I was part of started to blow up. And
Probably me.
well, you were in the group, but you weren't the one that started it. But because the entire conversation blew up, my client went deadpan on me and then ran out of the office.
Yeah, I can
It was
imagine.
that jarring. Um, so I don't switch gears easily. It doesn't matter if it's office to wire wrap or any form of profession to doing housework or whatever. I don't switch gears all that easily,
Nope.
and it's quite a challenge. Um, I do have multiple personalities, which on the one hand is a good thing, but as I said, I also have five alternates that are pretty angry,
Yep.
and sometimes they just pop out.
It doesn't take
Fortunately,
much for them to
n-
come out, huh?
no, no, and so I've been very lucky that one of them has not popped out during a session with a client, but it's come close a couple of times.
That would not be good.
Um, I also have a shit ton of PTSD. Anything, pretty much anything can get me riled up
Yeah.
because a lot of my PTSD is very much social based. So if I'm
Yeah.
talking with a person, it the wrong word somewhere, and all
Facial
sense leaves me.
expression.
I probably switch, and using my recent communique with a person that I'm trying to get back in contact with, the wrong word was mentioned, and an hour passes, and the entire effort was sabotaged. All lines
Yep.
of communications were dropped. The person was blocked altogether, and I'm getting chewed out because they sabotaged communication and ended it right there. Whereas I was trying to heal a very old relationship that I needed.
Yep. Or
Um,
you're in a conversation with someone and they just have the wrong expression cross their face or the
yeah,
wrong micro expression that you just happened to catch
or the
and had
wrong tone of voice,
absolutely nothing to do with you and the conversation with you.
hmm
But because you caught it, your brain
hmm
decided, oh, they're mad at me for something. So I'm just going to shut down now.
exactly. It could even be the wrong tone of voice,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why, in all the years you've known me, I don't yell. I do my best to remain calm.
Yep.
Um, any of these things happen that set me off, and it's six to one, half dozen the others as to whether or not I'm remaining in the driver's seat or whether or not one of the others is going to take over, and heads to one degree or another are going to start rolling.
Yep. Yep. I know the feeling.
There are there are so many obstacles that I have to go through. Also, another one is just simply revolved around the fact that I am trans in a town that is when I'm back up in Santa Maria, predominantly Catholic and not
Oh
exactly
wow.
accepting in their own
No.
culture.
Yeah.
So, so I do my
Catholics
best
are
to
not nice to those of us who are not Catholic.
so I do my best to avoid politics. I do my best
Yep.
to avoid any form of spiritual conversation, even though what I do can be perceived as such. So
Yep.
I have to play diplomat
Oof.
because
Oh boy. Yeah.
right. It's a religious and political
Landmine.
battlefield and minefield
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh my God.
And
The
one,
town you live in sounds a lot like the town I went to high school in.
mhm,
Woodburn, you were either Mexican or Russian.
mhm,
And if you were Mexican, chances are you were Roman Catholic. And if you
mhm,
were white, chances are you were Roman Catholic or Mormon.
mhm,
And if you, the Russians were their own enclave. We had the Russian Orthodoxes.
oh
And
goodness
yeah,
gracious.
if you were white and not Mormon or Roman or Roman Catholic, you were very definitely a minority.
Yep.
I think there were two of us at my high school that went to the Episcopal Church.
Mhm,
And then there was a small group who went to another church um, that the other girl from the Episcopal Church married into their family.
mhm,
Interesting note, interesting note. One of the members of that family, um, one of the sisters of that family, made it in Hollywood.
good for
Sort of.
them.
Oh no, she is actually sort of well known. If you have seen the poster for the movie Transporter 2,
Mhm,
the badass bitch who has a handgun in each hand, the blonde chick, and she's, got a handgun in each hand. I know her sister and her brother. I was in choir with them.
okay.
And then she also
I'm
played The Rock's girlfriend, Russian girlfriend, in God, it was a Disney movie. Shipes. Oh my God. The little girl that played his daughter played the president's daughter in Cory in the House. Oh my God,
mhm,
why can't I remember the name of the movie? Hold on. Because the movie itself is hilariously funny. Um The Rock in this movie, his character is allergic to cinnamon and she makes him snickerdoodles right before they go to a team practice where he's filming a commercial. So his tongue swells up and he's trying to talk with a swollen tongue. It's hilarious.
okay.
Why am I doing it? Why am I looking him up that way? Dwayne. Seriously, did I? Dwayne Johnson. There we go. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember the name of it.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
But her name is all I can remember now is her last name, and it's Nada. Why can't I remember her first name? Kate Nada, and she's just. I did not know her because she was the younger sister, and the youngest of the siblings that I got to know was her older sister Addie, who was a freshman my junior year. And she and Katie would have been a freshman my senior year, but she was already modeling at that point.
Yeah.
So it was after, was it before the Tooth Fairy? The Game Plan is the movie. She was the Russian girlfriend in the Game Plan. But yes,
That is a movie I never saw.
amusing tidbit about my high school.
Okay.
But
But
okay,
yeah,
so your biggest obstacles are the fact that you live in a Roman Catholic community and you're trans
yeah.
and you're not Roman Catholic.
Yes, and again, harping back to, the fact that there are PTSD triggers everywhere.
Yeah,
Um, I will fully admit that I psyched myself out on this one. I am simply afraid of people. Because when I
people are
started my
unpredictable.
transition, they are. Plus, when I started my transition back in 2011 and I was doing the research on what was necessary, I did myself the extreme disservice by looking up mortality rate.
Not your smartest move, love.
No, but then again, I was very young and stupid back then. I'm still stupid, but I'm a little bit older now.
Yeah. Okay, so what advice do you have for others who are trying to find their own path in both the worlds of holistic healing and spirituality and in the LGBTQ community?
Um, in holistic practices, um, on the one hand, what you're researching, take that with a grain of salt
Very good.
because be- because honestly, one thing that works for one person is not going to work as well for another person, if at all. So,
Very
what
true.
during this entire holistic journey, figure out what works for you. And then if you are helping anyone else out, which honestly, don't until you figure yourself out first. Help guide people to figure out what works for them. Not tell some Joe Schmo a fad diet because that's not going
Yes.
to work. I firmly believe in what Albert Einstein once said, which is you everyone's a genius, but if you're judging a goldfish by his ability to climb a tree, he's going to grow up believing that he's stupid for the rest of his life.
Yes.
A goldfish can't climb a tree.
Nope.
However, an ape can.
Yep.
An ape cannot swim and live in the water, but a fish can. And a fish is wise to that world.
Yep.
So what works for you may not work for someone else. So help guide a person to figure out what works for them, just as you have to do in your own journey.
Yes. Very, very good advice.
What was the other question?
What's your advice for those what's your advice for baby gays or baby trans?
Um,
Pretty much the same thing. Find what works
I
for
know
you.
a little bit more direct and focused when it comes to baby gays and or baby trans. Um, Keep in mind when I came out, I it was what about a year or two after the Benjamin Protocol was considered defunct. The Benjamin Protocol was, you're trans, okay, so here's a list of things that you need to go through, a checklist, if you will, in order for things to come out properly, such as you have to have your group of friends, your support network, because if you don't have that basic framework, you're going to fall and you're going to fall fucking hard. I did. So get your shit together. Find your support group. Find your tribe. Bullet point two in the protocol was to find a therapist. Find a therapist who will work with transgender people, trans questioning, or just simply the LGBT, because they'll be more open to giving you sound advice.
Yes.
And that. The
Make sure they're not going to
speaking
treat you
to
as a
us,
science experiment.
Exactly, which is again something I went through, which is not fun. Um, Fortunately, I had a therapist who was also trans, but she saw everyone as a science experiment because she saw herself as one. So, huzzah! Um, the therapist is what's going to be necessary to get the letter for the hormones in the first place. It cannot be done unless it has your therapist signing off on it. So, don't play the odds. Be yourself because that's what's going to be important here. You being you.
Yep.
And no one else can do this for you. So you're the star of your own show. Let your star shine.
Yes.
Then once you get the letter from your therapist, you can go to the doctor and you can get prescribed your hormones. Now, this is not a one and done deal. It's not a magic wand cure because there's going to be a plethora of issues that are going to come about it. Yeah, you're going to develop your boobs, you're going to develop your hips and all that kind of stuff, or opposite if you're a baby female to male. Your boobs may not go away, but they will certainly deflate to some degree, and your hips are going to
You're going
start
to develop
deflating.
hair.
You're going to develop hair in all the ways that men do,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. But again, it's not a magic wand cure. It can certainly help things out, but with the voice, you're going to want to go through vocal training. When
Yep.
it comes to mannerisms, it's flattery is the best, or observation
Imitation
and
is the best form of
imitation.
flattery.
That
Yep.
one, thank you. Do your research, do the legwork, and figure out what
Yes.
works for you. Because again, you're any baby trans, any baby gay is going to be the star of their own show. If they're a baby gay, I can't exactly speak to that world because everyone is different.
Yep.
And while I went from being bi to pretty much lesbian, I started out as bi as a guy. Not everyone's going to have that experience. So I can only speak to that world. When it comes to the transgender community, set up the foundations first, then start building upon it. Get your tribe, then get your therapist. Don't lie to your therapist, just be yourself. They'll give you what's necessary to get the hormones if you want to go that route. And if you don't, that's okay too. You
Yeah.
could just stay you could just stay on the hormones and not want to do anything final. There was once a gal that I worked with who wanted to do the final surgeries. I say surgeries because uterine transplants are becoming a viable technology.
They are.
Um, they are, but not for transgender people yet.
Yet.
Um, but if they want to stay on just uh, the prescription route, that's okay too. No,
You know,
there's
it's all
actually
valid.
there's this. It's all valid. Even social transition, not even starting anything, is also valid.
Yep.
Um, but again, it comes from knowing thyself.
Yep.
It comes from building the foundations of who you are or who you want to be. But it has to start with you. And no one
Yes.
can tell you anything about you.
Yep.
Only you can.
Oh, buddy.
So, my advice, be true to yourself first, and then go from there.
Yes. And my advice, blood does not always make family.
Oh, God. What was it? One of the things that I learned when I first started out is my family could reject me. Obviously, they weren't necessarily my family if, they just held on to the idea of something they thought I should be in their minds.
Yep.
That's not a friendship. That is manipulation. If
Yep.
they can accept you for who you are, as opposed to their perceptions of who they want you to be, then that is the most healthy relationship you're going to get out of this entire thing.
Yes.
I have lost family.
Sometimes,
I've lost
sometimes the
family. I have
closest
lost
family
friends.
members are the ones you choose for yourself because they're the ones who are going to love you for who you really are.
Yep. Yep. Hell, to this day, my mom still looks at me and she still sees the son that she had. I look at
Yeah,
her and I kind of weep or think it's sad that she's only ever going to see that.
yeah, because she's missing out on the amazing person you are
Yep.
because she only sees the person you used to be.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Um, you know, it's sad. Most of the people that I knew down here, but before I left Oregon in 2010, only knew who I was pre-trans. Now that I'm
Yep,
back down here and I've tried to reach out, all they want is the person I used to be,
yep,
or worse.
yep. That, you know, I think that's one of the reasons they say you can't go home.
The world continues on, whether I am here or not. I just happen
Yep,
to miss the evolution
yep,
because I wasn't here, or I wasn't down here, I should say.
yep.
Just like in the years that I've been gone from North Bend, Washington, that town has grown up. Attitudes have changed.
Yeah.
And I wish I were there to observe it because then I would not have been so hands off to the memory of it.
You're going to be shocked when you get back here. Well,
It
I think
remains to be
that pretty
seen.
much do I?
It remains to be seen because
Yeah.
there are certain people that would remind me point blank of the trauma that I endured up there.
Oh, yeah,
If
there's a
they're
few.
still there, yeah, I might not see it.
That's true. Well, I think that pretty much covers it for this week. So,
Okay.
I think we will have a chat, the two of us later. Duh.
Okay.
It's not like we ever go more than, what, 2 hours without talking? Unless we're
Oh my
asleep.
God, really? But even at that, we're probably talking in our heads or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I dream about Took bolting, so this dog, I
Yeah.
swear. So, I will talk to you soon, and I hope the rest of you, Jared,
Nice
I
to
hope
meet
you've enjoyed
you.
listening to us bullshit with each other. I hope everyone else will come back tomorrow night for guided meditation. And Monday we start all over with the week with the daily draws and everything. And I will talk to everyone else later. I love you all. Have a fantabulous evening. Good night, Vanna.
Nice to meet you all. Good night.